Now we'll go to the second phase. Ambassador, you have the floor. Representative of Brazil. And Ambassador Mansour.
Muchísimas gracias, señor embajador, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. I know I'm not a panelist now, Mr. Chairman, but the evolution of statements compels me to make a couple of statements here, specific comments and clarifications. First, I'd like to congratulate the speakers, panelists, for their very warm and brilliant presentations that were full of love. When we talk about the role of community, and Arlene, we talk on specific issues such as how to address this issue. And I'd also like to congratulate you for the efforts of our cousins. It's a valid effort. It's a fantastic idea, and it needs hands and feet to go with it. And I congratulate you. I'd also like to touch upon, I didn't want to bring contentious issues to the table because we're supposed to be involved in an activity based on solidarity with the Palestinian people. And I'd like to clarify to Mr. Sergio that when we're talking about solidarity with the Palestinian people, we're talking exactly about solidarity with the people of Israel to the same magnitude, that they be independent, like the Palestinian people should also be independent. I cannot think of anyone at this stage defending the wall, or that anyone
Nosotros defendemos cohetes contra Israel. Y yo creo que fue claro. Hoy en la mañana, no sé si el señor Sergio o
I think Sergio and others have heard, and it was, Arlene spoke very clearly about the role of Hamas, for example. Relations should exist with Israel. Why were they cut? We need to answer that question. And I want to clarify that 57 countries, not just a couple in Latin America, but are prepared to establish ties, diplomatic ties, full-fledged ties with Israel if Israel is to withdraw from the Palestinian territories and Arab-occupied territories. We're not going to put our fingers in the dike with one finger. We need to be aware of what we're doing and go into this with open eyes. A well-known Latin American thinker, Universal, and said, when truth awakens, it never goes back to sleep. If the truth bothers someone, well, I'm sorry about that. But it's a truth that the occupation is the cause of all of our problems today. And as communities, both Arab and Jewish, so we need to be clear. I believe that the Jewish community needs to be very clear, and when it's time to establish a program, they need to be very clear about the fact that Israel is responsible for our diaspora. That needs to be very clear for the Jewish community. As a Colombian or Argentina, people left, and they should demand that people not serve in the army, in the military, in the West Bank, and like our friend Shabal was saying, they shouldn't just have buses for Jews. We're not talking about Israelites and Israelis. We're not talking about the diaspora of the 12 tribes. We need to talk about current things. What's happening now? Israel is a Jewish state. We need to be very clear about that. Israel is a Jewish state. We need to actually ask if they accept that reality themselves. The wall. Let's be clear about that. The wall, I heard that very clearly stated this morning. Palestinians and Israelis don't need walls. We don't need walls, we need bridges. We need rehabilitation centers for both sides. They want to bring us to a Holocaust. It's not the only opportunity for peace. Between this opportunity and the next one, there will be space. Peace is the only way, whether we want it or not. As a Palestinian, as an Arab, who lives in exile also, we need to guarantee the security of Israel and guarantee its existence. The Arab Initiative is very clear. There have been 300 scholars. Who's occupying? It's Israel that's occupying Palestine. I want to be very clear. It's the issue of the refugees. That's the issue. At no time what's most important is this institution should be clear. We don't at any time want to change the demographic composition of Israel, but under no conditions can we accept, and we need to be clear about that, under no situation can we accept Israel as a Jewish state. We've recognized Israel as a state, Israeli state. If Israel wants to call itself whatever and go to the United Nations and try to change the name, and I wouldn't wish this upon anybody or on my Jewish friends and cousins, that it be only Jewish. We're going back to times which are not even medieval, goes beyond medieval. Thank you. Thank you.
Gracias, embajador.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'd like to ask for all of your understanding the service of interpreters and translation, to whom I'd like to express our formal gratitude to help us understand each other. They will be stopping their interpretation services at 6:30. So I'd like to change the order of the participants. Ambassador Mansour doesn't speak Spanish yet, but if he could speak first, please. If everyone would agree to that, so that he could speak while we still have interpretation for his statement.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I was hesitant to participate, but I think this discussion is very rich, and that's why I wanted to contribute a few things. At the beginning, I would say that all of the panelists are totally committed to the two-state solution, to ending occupation, to justice for the Palestinians, and standing against all illegal things committed by us, by the Israelis, especially in the field of settlement activities. And because of that sentiment that you have expressed, we thank you for that and we salute you. But let me make the following observations. The first observation is that we started the discussion of civil society just before we going to start the discussion of civil society and their role tomorrow, which might be a good transition from what we've been discussing for the last a day and a half into preparing ourselves for what we will do tomorrow. because the panelists, either they are academicians or activists of civil society organizations. So that's the first observation. So you started a bit early, but hey, wonderful. So you set the stage for tomorrow. Secondly, there are two things that you are transmitting. One is, if countries in Latin America are having a wonderful experience of religious and ethnic groups are working together in harmony, all power to you. That model that you are showing us might be a good model, for example, for all the components of the State of Israel, Jews and non-Jews, to learn from it of how to live in harmony and in a positive way. Our friend from the Peace Now, in touching upon that subject, he said it's very complicated, but it is a subject that eventually the Israelis have to face, because Israel is not all Jews, it is more than that. So if they want to benefit from this model in Latin America, oh, that's wonderful. That is maybe it is a working model, different than other countries, and you have given us a good illustration of that model. But the second thing, which is the main objective of what we are doing. What we are doing in this conference today and tomorrow is to demonstrate solidarity with the Palestinian people. I know that this is the fourth or the fifth conference that I attend in this continent. Things are changing and evolving. As things are changing and evolving in our region, there are things that you have to face, whether you like it or not. Things of the nature of how you are going to be involved as civil society in demonstrating solidarity with the Palestinian people to bring them closer to justice. Some of the burning issues we are talking about with government representatives, and we will talk more, issues of the nature that we asked them to recognize the state of Palestine. They did. Is that sufficient? Of course not. There are other things that are required from them. And I believe a few years ago we did not have the recognition. Today the recognition is almost something of the past. We need more. What do we need more? We need this region, starting first from the governments. You cannot be lagging behind Europe and South Africa. You are the champion of international law. If there are things that are illegal committed by Israel, especially in the field of settlements, it is not sufficient just to tell us that settlements are illegal. We need additional steps. We need you to have things similar of the guidelines. We need you also to consider other things, including the possibility in the field of weapons, as that young man suggested. And in our discussion today, the delegation of the committee with the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, who told us also that Ecuador has, military and weapons relationship with Israel. So therefore, the issue presents itself. If you want to uphold international law, there are certain things that you have to start questioning and discussing. That is governmental, and there are more. What about you, civil society, since you brought us to this subject? If you try to tell us harmony is wonderful in Latin American countries and try to benefit from it to solve the Palestinian question, I can tell you very frankly, that is not going to address our concerns. It is wonderful what you are doing, but we need you to start dealing with issues in your own countries. Issues of what is really happening in Europe. Because if in Holland, I see that country taking steps and measures of not having a relationship between their major banks and 5 banks in Israel because they do business in settlements in Israel. And if I see similar things in Sweden, and if I see certain things in England and in other countries, and you tell me that you don't want to engage in this discussion, I can tell you, well, you are trying to sell me your harmony as something nice. It is nice, but I need more than that. And if you do not do things similar to what they are doing in Holland, in Sweden, in South Africa, in England, in Italy, in Spain, and hopefully in the entire globe, you are lagging behind. You are not in congruity with what is your governments are doing on the political front. I can tell you, I see this discussion is brewing. This young man, when he raised this question, without knowing what is really happening in each of your countries, I know for a fact that discussion is taking place. And don't try to replace this requirement and responsibility that you have to shoulder in terms of influencing your governments to take these steps in the field of practical, responsible, legal measures in order to bring Israel into compliance with international law and their obligations under the Charter of the UN and the normal behavior of civilized nations, then you are trying to run away from the question. I know you are not trying to run away from this question, but these questions are complicated questions. You have to start dealing with them. I am sure you will deal with them. Tomorrow you will discuss them more, and the real battles and the discussions in each and every one of your countries. I remember when we met in Chile, we did not have that discussion. Even in Uruguay a few years ago, we did not have this discussion. But today, this discussion has to take place, and I know it is taking place, because you have to shoulder your responsibility. Why are we doing that? We're not doing that because we want to punish Israel. We are not that powerful to punish Israel. We are only a poor national liberation movement that is struggling to end occupation and to have independence and to have the two-state solution. If we have a two-state solution living next to each other, we will be able to do remarkable things for the entire Middle East and beyond. We will be able to create an atmosphere of two equal states and therefore two equal people. Racism in Israel will continue to be if they are the masters and we are the slaves. But if we are equal, all of the positive things that my friend of Peace Now is dreaming about will become real. There will be a concrete material base for how we can contribute in a very brilliant, significant way. In order to get there, we are trying everything. We tried a million times to be nice. We gave certificates of good conduct many times, from the time of Yasser Arafat and before, and the time after Yasser Arafat. Good conduct of the behavior of the Palestinians is not cutting it. It is not putting sense in the mind of the Israelis. If you don't believe me, review the statistics and the figures that our friend from Peace Now gave you. We came and negotiated in good faith 20 years ago. What do we have now? We have hundreds of times, hundreds of thousands of settlers and settlements, and the situation is worse. We need to do some additional different things. Academicians boycott of things related to the settlement activities and university in Ariel is a good thing that need to be done. In the United States of America, if some associations of professors take practical steps in that direction, you feel that you are not able to do it in Brazil, in Argentina, in Chile, in Peru, in the rest of the countries. These are the things that you have to face, and these are the things that we need you to do, because this way you can help us. Perhaps this way we might be able to put some sense in the mind of the leaders of Israel. We want to put some sense in their minds. We want to have peace with them. We want to have a two-state solution, and we want to make it a real solution. So these are the kind of things that we have to debate and to discuss. And I believe you will discuss them. You have no choice but to discuss them. Tomorrow you will discuss them, but we will discuss them more and more. And when we meet again, hopefully soon, not only you, not only governments, not only parliamentarians, and also academicians and media people, each and every one of these stratas and groups, you have a responsibility, and we want you to shoulder it because we are all in it together and we want to reach peace. We thank you for your efforts, but these discussions, they need to be frank. And they are frank. And we are not, lying to each other. I'm just telling you what we need. And I'm telling you what we need it in a frank way. And I'm sure that you can accommodate us, and we thank you in advance. Sorry for being long, but I had to say these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Very clear. Tranquilo. Delegado de Brasil y la señora Mavilia tienen la palabra, muy corto, para hacer la exposición y dar oportunidad a los oradores, a los expositores a que también reaccionen, y luego debemos clausurar. Me han pasado otra vez el papel del famoso bus. Hay el tour a la ciudad de Quito.
Si tengo o no interpretación.
Usted va a hablar en español.
¿Tengo o no interpretación?
No, se acaba a las 6:30.
Ya no hay.
Sí, por eso adelantamos la intervención del embajador.
Voy a sintetizar mucho en las dos lenguas entonces. Yo iba a tomar la palabra para decir más o menos otra vez como individuo participando de este debate y no manifestando ninguna posición oficial de mi país, en el mismo sentido que lo hizo el embajador Mansur, porque pese a que este debate ha sido bastante rico y apasionado, pasó a largo de lo que debería ser, porque el título de esta sesión es el papel de los agentes no gubernamentales en América Latina y el Caribe para promover una solución permanente del conflicto. En mi modo de ver, como vimos ayer, hay un problema muy claro de voluntad de negociar de una de las partes, hay un problema muy claro de un boicote a las posibilidades de una solución en el tema de las colonias, y entonces quizás lo que falte es un cambio a la estructura de incentivos que tiene el Estado de Israel. Y ahí estamos hablando, como dijo el embajador, vamos a hablar francamente, estamos hablando más allá de pedir paz, estamos hablando de posibilidad de poner sanciones, de cesar cooperación militar, cesar cooperación financiera, de poner sanciones comerciales, no en una afronta al Estado de Israel, pero con mucho respeto para reconocer la ilegalidad de las acciones, la ilegalidad de la continuación de esta situación y cambiar los incentivos para que el Estado de Israel tenga una posibilidad, una ayuda, una fuerza para llegar a esta solución de dos estados que todos sabemos que es la única. Y creo que eso pasa por las políticas de los países, y América Latina tiene un rol fundamental en lo que es determinar la legitimidad de acciones alrededor del mundo. Brasil en particular y toda la América Latina están siempre al lado de la legitimidad, y lo que hace América Latina contribuye mucho a lo que sea la legitimidad internacional de acciones. Y las organizaciones no gubernamentales que hoy asisten a sus gobiernos, que tienen posiciones muy pro la cuestión palestina, podrían asistir todavía más a ayudarles a pasar a los tipos de acciones a que se está refiriendo el embajador Mansur. In English, even shorter, I was only intervening in support of what Ambassador Mansur just said, as an individual not representing my country's position, but as a Brazilian diplomat, I would like to see more involvement from non-governmental organizations, more engagement with our government and in all the governments of Latin America, which is Latin America is a crucial region to establish international legitimacy. So what Latin America does contributes a lot to establish what is internationally legitimate. And if from the discussions we have from yesterday until now, it is becoming clear that one of the parties is not really into achieving the two-state solution, then more incentives should be provided for that party to negotiate seriously and stop undermining the possibilities for a solution. In that sense, I think the role of non-governmental organizations, what they should discuss, even the communities from Palestinians and Jews in diaspora, is to get to their governments and push them to try to consider these kinds of measures which are not against Israel, which are helping Israel to reach the political calculation that will allow them to get to that two-state solution. So we don't have time now, but I also hope to see this debate tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, señora Mavilia. Sí.
Yo tengo una
Depende de-
pregunta para Kadur o Volkovich. Es relacionada con las cosas que mi colega brasileño estaba hablando, lo embajador también. Yo me gustaría saber si ustedes conocen las organizaciones no gubernamentales que trabajan en solo palestino, que dan trabajo, salud. Y yo quería saber si ustedes piensan en hacer cosa parecida, porque me parece que esta relación, ese trabajo junto a las autoridades, ya es hecho por la ONU, por ejemplo. Entonces yo quería saber si piensan en hacer esos trabajos que son productivos, ellos realmente funcionan en la práctica. Hay decenas de ellas, pero cabe más.
Muchas gracias. Empezamos los comentarios de los oradores y apelo nuevamente a la síntesis.
Perfecto, gracias, presidente. Arranco con esta pregunta que es más puntual. Sí conocemos instituciones, ONGs en el territorio, nos vinculamos con ellas y estamos trabajando en iniciativas en forma conjunta para acciones puntuales en el territorio. Son una referencia, puntualmente esta propuesta de viaje de concientización de parlamentarios lo estamos organizando junto a ONGs, que son los que nos ayudan a armar la agenda y demás. Y acá ya paso agradezco a todas las intervenciones, pero ya paso a hacer unos comentarios que tienen que ver con intervenciones anteriores. Somos la sociedad civil, no pierdan de vista esto. No nos carguen más responsabilidades de las que tenemos como sociedad civil. Yo esto lo hago por voluntad propia, con mis recursos propios, y esta es la primera vez que me pagan un viaje, ¿sí? Por eso me gustaría que le comenten al embajador que todos estos esfuerzos son esfuerzos personales. Tengo una familia, estoy casado, tengo 3 hijas, tengo que trabajar, tengo que hacer política y además me involucro en la temática de la paz con mucho esfuerzo, con mucho sacrificio y con mucha cabeza, con mucha convicción. Ahora, lo que digo es, nosotros podemos accionar, y en esto, embajador Mansur, sepa que de nuestra parte garantizamos gestión, no resultados. ¿Por qué? Porque yo no soy la Cancillería Argentina, yo no soy el cuerpo diplomático palestino, yo no soy, por ahí me gustaría hacerlo y hablemos de si conviene, digamos, si me pueden tomar como un representante, pero lo que digo son esfuerzos personales que surgen del corazón, como decía algo, del ser, de lo que con lo que nos identificamos. Queremos la justicia, queremos la paz y nos mueve el amor, nada más. Por eso agradezco las felicitaciones y por eso digo, es todo el esfuerzo, ojalá podamos hacer más. Y esto de ir a la saga de Europa, yo probablemente lo comparto, no conozco la experiencia puntual en Europa, si está motorizado desde la sociedad civil o directamente son decisiones gubernamentales frente a la impotencia por el fracaso de poner límites a la situación de ocupación. No lo sé, pero compartámoslo, debatámoslo en algún momento. Yo desconozco cuál es la situación que se está dando en Europa. Si lo moviliza la sociedad civil, me parece excelente y sería bueno compartir. Sepan que estamos, llevamos pocos años trabajando en esta iniciativa y es muy importante vincularnos con el cuerpo diplomático palestino y que nos informen de esas situaciones para nosotros desde esas experiencias aplicarlas nosotros también. Ahora, sepan que nosotros nos podemos mover, también en favor de Israel se pueden mover. Y entonces, acá es donde va el juego. Yo no soy diplomático, yo puedo, como les dije, garantizo gestión, no resultado, porque no soy ni el gobierno argentino, en mi caso, ni ni el Estado palestino. Entonces, esto es todo lo que hasta ahora pudimos dar. Si nos ayudan a dar más, damos más.
Sí. ¿Puedo completar mi pregunta?
Perdón, presidente, ¿puedo
Claro.
Sí.
Perdón, presidente, ¿puedo completar lo que decía Omar? Respecto a lo que dijo tanto el embajador como, si no me equivoco, el representante de Brasil. Este panel llevaba por título el papel de los agentes no gubernamentales en América Latina y el Caribe para promover una solución permanente del conflicto, efectos y función educativa de las instituciones académicas y los grupos de estudio e iniciativas de la sociedad civil. Lo que realmente me parecería hasta presuntuoso poder creer que podemos llegar a promover es creer en que vamos a promover una solución permanente al conflicto. Ojalá podamos aportar algo, pero somos la sociedad civil, como decía Omar recién, somos personas que ideológicamente estamos absolutamente consustanciadas con el tema. Es una bandera por la que llevamos, realmente es una militancia creer que la paz es posible y que tenemos algo para aportar desde la sociedad civil y desde el lugar chiquitito que cada uno ocupe. Representando a las propias comunidades, no representándolas cuando sea necesario, teniendo cintura para manejarnos, porque realmente no nos es fácil ni sencillo. Nada, esto sí responde en algo.
¿Posso completar, presidente, la pregunta, la observación,
sí.
la verdad?
Sí, el otro.
No, is on.
Más cerca.
Sí. Mi pregunta, yo entiendo las observaciones de ellos y es mi curiosidad y mi cuestión también, porque cuando pensamos en la situación on the ground, en los territorios, sí, hay una emergencia.
Sí.
Entonces, claro que es legítima la voluntad de hacer algo, pero es más productivo hacer algo que satisfaça la necesidad de la persona. Es legítimo hacer algo para nosotros, para satisfacer nosotros, pero mi cuestión es, ¿van a hacer algo realmente para ayudar a los palestinos? Esta es mi cuestión.
Perdón.
Y la cuestión de embajador, pienso.
Creo que hay algo de todo esto que tiene que ver con que somos un grupo absolutamente nuevo, es una iniciativa absolutamente nueva. Hoy a la mañana se habló, no me acuerdo quién fue el que le decía al señor Ferreira, justamente, que los grupos de derechos humanos en Sudamérica son relativamente nuevos. Y no es que son nuevas las acciones, simplemente no hubo lugar durante mucho tiempo para que tuvieran emergencia, para que pudieran funcionar. Eso no quiere decir que no había voluntad, se trabajaba de manera invisible. Nosotros ahora estamos visibilizando voluntades que durante muchos años a lo mejor se hacían puertas adentro y eran invisibles. Por supuesto que hay una emergencia y una urgencia. Siempre decimos lo mismo, lo urgente no tiene que opacar a lo importante. Es verdad que hay urgencias. Yo también creo, como desgraciadamente el profesor Kaufman, cuando nos enseña, nos muestra que realmente las posibilidades de llegar a acuerdos de paz realmente estamos en últimas instancias porque están agobiados, realmente está agobiado el pueblo palestino. Esto no quiere decir que nosotros tengamos que ser kamikazes para poder hacer algo que no estamos capacitados para hacer. Estamos intentando empezar a movilizar algunas acciones que ojalá prosperen, ojalá lleguemos a tiempo. Pero necesitamos, la acción no depende de nosotros solos.
Eddie quiere decir algo.
Perdón, Eddie.
Solo un minuto para aclarar esta
solamente
cuestión.
un anuncio. Tenemos que terminar la reunión de alguna manera porque ya los parámetros de la ONU se han terminado en todas las esquinas. Tienen un minuto para hacer una pequeña cierre de comentarios la señora Clemeche y el señor Kaufman. Sí. 1-1.
Yes, okay, I'm going to speak English, sorry, because I'd really like to express how happy I am to hear Riyad Mansour's words, remembering that in 2005 we began this very, very extenuating campaign against the FTA, the Mercosur-Israel FTA. We lost the campaign, but it made, I think, a big difference. And that today, the embassy, the Palestinian embassy in Brazil, can be sure that we'll work with you. And I'm sure that with the support that today we feel, that we're receiving, I think we can make a difference. Also, in Itamaraty, it has been very grateful for me, after so many years of working on this issue, to see that Itamaraty is our foreign affairs office, is also bringing academics to debate and to collaborate together for the formulation of ideas, of concepts, of points of view, and of how Brazil can put itself in the world scene, and how Brazil can act in relation to the realization of the Palestinian rights, which we have been talking about so much. So thank you so much for your words.
My minute is to say that both the subject of boycott, disinvestment and sanctions and arms sales are extremely important, and we should talk about it tomorrow. And I don't want to go away from that. My comment to Mrs. Mabilia, is the following. When we use the term the peace camp, we are talking about the campamento with many tents with different shape. Or if you want the road to peace, it's a wide road, and some cars can speed very fast, some are speeding slowly. This is a new invention. So, well, what I'm saying is, when you have many roads, what I suggest is the following. Against you, Mansour, there is a bulldozer called the Spoilers of Peace. I include the settlements, the settlers, and I include also Hamas. We have to be careful not to bump each other, my car with your car, if we are going ahead for peace, because the bulldozer is coming against me. So we have to be careful. Some people can do one step towards peace. You can do 10 steps. But please understand the road to peace as different cars, different models, different speeds. Do not criticize those who are going slowly. Criticize the spoilers of peace.
No,
and they are going very slowly.
Yeah, it wasn't a criticism. I was trying to understand, and I think they got it, because they answered, yeah? I wasn't criticizing. It was a question in reality, yeah? And you got it, yeah? Did you understand criticism? Yeah, I was trying to understand. Okay?
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Yo quiero nuevamente, mismo. El bus no puede salir porque aquí están los clientes, así que se demore un poquito. Yo quería simplemente, a nombre del señor Canciller de la República, nuevamente reiterarles nuestro gusto por la presencia de ustedes en mi país, en el Ecuador, haber tratado este sensible tema con esta pasión y absolutamente en franqueza. Así se tiene que hacer. Yo me alegro que Ecuador y Quito sean la sede de este nuevo diálogo en el que vamos a buscar soluciones. Vengan cuando quieran, esta es su casa. Les deseo una feliz noche y hasta mañana para terminar esta maravillosa reunión sobre la solidaridad con Palestina. Buenas noches, la sesión queda agendada. Mañana la sesión empieza a las 10:30 de la mañana.
Van a tres paredes, no me